Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of xanimegamerx, and today I'll be playing Eden. They were only two. They were only two on the planet. All right, I don't like long, lengthy intros, so I'm gonna go ahead and just dive right in and do it. 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. Mustn't stop. I told myself over and over again. Ooh. Whether I wanted it or not, my heart would leap to the past if I stopped, even for a second. My memories were gentle, beloved, beautiful, and suffocating. If I were to immerse myself in them even once, I might never be able to pull myself back to reality. That was why I had to keep my hands moving. I thought of nothing as my fingers tore into the gaping hole in the ground before me. I thought of nothing. But it was futile. Damn it. My heart leapt. What crossed my mind but was a mere something. On that day, she... She stood in the wind. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to make the best light. So hopefully there's no more dark scenes like that. She walked silently across the light green carpet and ascended the gentle incline. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, which carried a touch of humidity. I walked behind her, close enough that her hair might have touched my hand and had I reached out. I was careful not to disturb her while she basked in the sunlight. The fragrance of the grass and the song of the trees swaying in the breeze wafted around us. Suddenly, a clear, high-pitched sound like a whistle echoed nearby. Sion halted and looked up at the sky. In the distance, a white bird danced around in the deep blue sky. It circled repeatedly as though searching for something. Little by little, it flew higher until its figure disappeared in the distance. She dashed. Her steps were light, as though she wouldn't allow herself to feel the weight of her body, just like that bird. I hurried after her. Wait, Sion. She must not have heard me. Once she began to run, she would not relent. She was chasing the bird, now no more than a dot in the sky, as far as she could. However, cruelly enough, the path ended. This game is fucking gorgeous. She stood exhausted at the peak of the hill, the sight of a hazy mountain ridge with a lake stretched below it shimmered in the distance. Ow. It flew away. The bird was nowhere to be seen. It's weird. Sion was panting, but continued to gaze at the sky. That bird. I wonder where that bird headed. Who knows? Who knows? I shook my head gently. It can go anywhere at once. Wow. Anywhere, as long as there's a sky. She tilted her head as a faint smile crept on her face. The girl in her one-piece dress smiled amidst the endless green expanse. I felt like I detached from reality, like I had wandered into a fairy tale. Wandered, my bad. That would be nice. Her eyes looked once more to the sky. It's shining especially strong again today. The sun, the sky, the clouds, an ominously red solitary star shone in the sky she stared so intensely into. Sorry. It's like 2 a.m., 2:52. As long as as long as that star was in the sky, this fairy tale would not have a happy ending. The star which glimmered even midday was a symbol of destruction that would arrive in the not-so-distant future. However, there is still time. The world hasn't ended yet, right? Yeah. It seemed for me as if she paused a moment before nodding. Sion undoubtedly understood much more of this world than I did. She likely knew many things she did not need to know as well. Hey, Sion. Will the world truly end? Yes, it will. This time, she nodded without a moment's hesitation. But it is only fun to live in the present, because we know there will be an end. Both you and my life here taught me that. Right, Rio? I stopped breathing for an instant. Her smile was beautiful. That expression, those words. I couldn't sense an ounce of regret or doubt. I said something like that? I managed to calm my heart and say it as bluntly as possible. Even if you forget, I will not. I will absolutely never forget. Her gaze rose to the sky again. Just a little longer. She looked like a saint offering a prayer to the heavens. I want to, beneath the sky, in these clouds, just for a little longer. I want to be beneath these clouds. Sorry. I can't talk with shit tonight. She gazed longingly into the endless distance. Fuck. Such a simple wish. I'll grant it. That was my purpose, after all. Rio? Yes? I want to be here. Here with you. Wow, this anime visual novel is so fucking gorgeous. I've never seen a visual novel this fucking gorgeous before. Not even If My Heart Had Wings compares to this. Okay, If My Heart Had Wings is pretty pretty decent, but this is astounding. We returned to the field at the end of our post-lunch walk. The temperature rose just a little, so I told Sion she should go back to the house, but there's nothing for me to do if I go back. Don't treat me like a guest. Even I can be of some use. If she put it that way, I couldn't stop her. Speaking of which, she had been picking the axillary buds from tomatoes for a while now. I didn't think it was a job that required such concentration. Ah. Huh? I stopped digging the potato field at the sound of her tiny shriek. Sion, what's wrong? I stood up and rushed to her side. It was an earthworm. I stared at her silently. But they're grotesque, no matter how many times I see them. She was sheltered to such an extreme that she had almost never came into contact with them before. It wasn't just earthworms. She had only ever seen insects in encyclopedias. Shouldn't you be used to them by now? You've been working in the field for 2 months already. Yeah. She was a little disheartened. Perhaps I had teased her too much. Sion? Oh, yes? Catch that earthworm and put it in a plastic bag or something. While you're at it, see if there are any more. More earthworms? Are we gonna eat them? Ew, we're not gonna eat them. We'll go fishing this evening and use them as bait. Use these living creatures? She seemed to be experiencing some culture shock. I never got tired of watching her. The previous dignified Sion was fine, but I couldn't help but be amused by the way she gushed over everything she saw like a child. Okay, I'll do my best and try to collect some. Yeah, go for it. Ah. Huh? She gazed at where the potatoes were planted. The potatoes. They're really spreading their leaves. Yeah, looks like we'll be able to harvest them soon. I took a quick look under the soil and they seem to be doing well. Wait just a second. I just realized it's only been about 30 days since we planted the potato seeds. Why have they grown so much? It's because they're gently modified. Genetically modified? They were engineered for cultivation on the colony ships. Space and energy are limited on the ships, so seeds which could grow and thrive even with limited nutrition were created. So these are those potatoes? She gave a small nod. These are resilient seeds that can be harvested in a short period of time and can grow in extreme conditions like deserts of Siberia. Sion, why do you know so much about them? I'm the one who modified their genes. I've also done eggplants, tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, carrots, celery. I don't like celery, but so I didn't actually want to modify it. I would have rather exterminated it. If I wasn't mistaken, she was a mechanical engineer. Why was she working on those sorts of things? I thought she'd be virtually helpless. When it came to fieldwork and agriculture. Oh, shit. But clearly I was mistaken. I'll try to collect some earthworms, but... She peered into my eyes. But... It's not very amusing to just collect bait. So, teach me how to fish. Oh, sure. Thanks, Ryo. Evening came and we returned to our cottage. Of course we had to eat all that manual labor, but there was something else we had to do first. Giggity. We left today's harvest in the kitchen, and I went into the living room with Sion. Alright, Sion, let's start. Let's start. Yes. She nodded obediently and took her seat. This is really gorgeous. She looks like Ilya from Fate Kali Liner Prisma Ilya series. Or, sorry, Fate Stay Night series. Fate series. Let's go with that. I examined the lining of her eyes and the hue of the insides of her mouth and confirmed nothing was particularly out of the ordinary. I took her pulse and blood pressure and her temperature. Nothing seemed peculiar here either. Do you feel strange at all? You asked me that this morning. This morning was this morning. Now is now. So, I'm fine. I would tell you if anything were wrong. I wouldn't hide it. You seem like you're pushing yourself. I can't be too careful. I didn't intend to cover anything up either. How regrettable. In that case, would you like to do a complete physical? You might want to use the stethoscope as well. Having said that, she suddenly reached for the shoulder of her dress. Wait a second. It's so you'll trust me. You'll believe me once you've done a thorough examination. Alright, I get it. I surrender. Surrender? Surrender? She removed her hand from her shoulder and then tilted her head curiously. Good grief. This is why I couldn't deal with airheads. But her expression stiffened. If you must worry, then I'll accept any sort of examination. I could see a tinge of red in her face. Of course, it probably wasn't because of her poor health. Just how much of it was because she was naive and how much was intentional? Well, it's not like I'm holding back or anything. Holding back? I mean, military. I only dabbed in basic field medicine. In reality, I wasn't capable of making a genuine diagnosis. The best I could do was follow Elika's notes and perform a layman's inspection. I don't see anything out of the ordinary, so I'll just say you're fine. Shall we make dinner? Yes. She nodded with a smile, her cheeks still a faint blush. Thinly sliced ham and lettuce between bread, vegetable soup, and lightly seasoned foil roasted salmon. Tonight's dinner was modest, but Sion enjoyed it all the same. She was smiling from start to finish. It was delicious. You really are good at cooking. Why, thank you. It was a little embarrassing to be praised by someone sitting in front of me. I placed some after-dinner tea before her. I sat down I sat down in my chair and sat on the other side of the table. Whoa. I'm not going to personify that. There we go. I mean, not personify. Onomatopoeia. That's what it is. Sion's tongue was a little sensitive, so she blew on the steaming drink to cool it down. I could have just brewed it cooler to begin with, but it was amusing to watch her do this. It was a guilty pleasure of mine. What are you looking at? Oh, nothing at all. Although Sion looked suspicious, her attention quickly returned to her cup. Today? Huh? Today was fun. I really can't believe I'm able to spend my time like this. How do I save? Oh, what was that? Oh, shit! So that's how you do that. So what's over here? Is that an autosave thing or whatever? Let's do a... Alright, press up. That does that. Our days were... Get my mouse out of the way. Our days were uneventful. We mostly spent our time working from dawn to dusk in order to keep food on the table. But she considered such a mundane, everyday life fun. I couldn't help but feel a little sad. Well then, may I get in the bath first? Oh, of course. I'll clean up. Then, she was about to stand but suddenly stopped. Ryo, what's wrong? Why don't we get in together once in a while? I want to see some titties. Come on, bring the titties. I nearly dropped my cup. Hey now, what in the world are you saying? I'm not used to bathing by myself. She certainly wasn't your ordinary shut-in. Don't worry about it. Just hurry up. But it's quite difficult to wash my back and hair by myself. Just do your best to clean yourself alone. You're so cold. She left the living room, sounding disappointed. What a troublesome girl. But for the two of us to live together like this, and for me to be willing to wait on her, was this sort of thing inevitable? What about my own feelings? How did I feel about her? When she says or does such provocative things so innocently, I feel like the cage around my heart is falling apart. Although, this probably wasn't a bad thing. Not in the slightest. From the sound of her breathing, I was certain she had fallen asleep. I stood from the chair beside her bed and dimmed the lights. This is a gorgeous game. I considered leaving the room, but decided to return to my seat instead. Her breathing was normal, not particularly erratic. She was fine. I was worrying too much. Her hand had slipped out from under the comforter. I gently took her hand and put it back under the covers. But suddenly, she squeezed back. It wasn't a particularly strong grip, but it was enough that I couldn't let go. Her petite hand, white as snow, I silently squeezed back. Her hand was a little cold, but I could certainly feel her warmth. Her mouth was moving ever so slightly, like she was repeating the same words over and over. What was she whispering? As I began to lean in, I suddenly stopped. Even in the darkness, I could clearly see it. Oh no. A trickle of tears streamed from her closed eyes. What could be so sad? Could they be tears shed for someone she once knew? How much sadness is carrying in her dreams in her heart? I slowly released her hand. Unable even to wipe tears away, I turned my back to her. I can't face this sorrow with you just yet. These sorrows with you just yet. Because I'm still unable to deal with my own. I still remember the soft sensation of her hand from that time. There was no way I could forget it. I was incapable of forgetting all of the time I spent with her. They're tainted. Stared closely at my hands. They're covered in mud, the skin cracking underneath as spots of blood were oozing onto the surface. I could have been fine if I had worn some work gloves, but I never once considered it. No, I knew I would be digging such a big hole, so using a shovel would have been the obvious choice. What am I doing? What in the world was I doing? I felt like I'd been asking myself that my entire life. Except for the time I spent with her. The cold wind felt wonderful on my raw, stinging hands. Shall I return to the past once more? I still remember everything, from the beginning to the end, so that I can move these hands again. Did I make any mistakes leading up to this day, this very spot? Was there nothing I could have said? Was there anything I should have not said? What was it that I did for you? Let me remember one thing at a time. I slowly closed my eyes. Some months ago, there were many people on the planet. I guarantee it's an easy assignment. Who the fuck is this? Nice panty shot. It's an interesting unit patch. What is this? Some weird special forces military? It's obviously not American. British, maybe? Japanese. I don't fucking know. Japanese, maybe. The girl sitting across from me said that cheerfully as she crossed her long legs from underneath her miniskirt. Her name was Lavinia F. Azaya. She was a warrant officer like myself, and we seemed to be the same age. Ooh, warrant officer. Which one? There's like 5. There's 5 ranks. So, okay. Whatever. They aren't finicky about regulations, and they won't fault you for the most part if you cut loose when you're off the clock. She had an army brat feel to her, and her personality was refreshing. There's also many officers, so a warrant officer is quite a position indeed. There also aren't many officers. Hey, are you listening? Warrant Officer Haruna? I'm listening, Warrant Officer Azaya. Didn't I tell you before? La Vie is fine. I don't like my surname all that much, so call me Warrant Officer La Vie. Isn't it weird to attach your rank to your first name? I don't mind if you'd like to drop the formalities, at least until I become your superior. She gave me a teasing smile. But, you know, Warrant Officer Haruna, don't you think you've been a little too aloof this whole time? Are you not pleased with your current mission? The female soldier and I were the only ones present in this transport helicopter, which could carry 11 troops. Her shrill voice is harsh on my ears, perhaps due to how empty it was. Well, defending a research facility is probably a lackluster job for a warrant officer from the Special Forces. So it is Special Forces! SF! It's not that I'm particularly unsatisfied. According to others, I usually looked quite stoic. Stoic. Is that the right word? Stoic. Stoic. A member of school philosophy founded by Zeno of Sictum 300 holding wise man. One apparently or professedly indifferent to pleasure or pain. Okay. I'm guessing it's this one. Well, it wasn't a big deal for a soldier to be unsociable. It's working. It's work. So I'm not being picky. I'll go anywhere and do anything if I'm ordered. Well, aren't you modest? Here, I thought everyone in the elite unit was an arrogant bastard. I may have been in the special forces, but that doesn't really make me an elite. The work we performed was just different from other units. Besides, the unit is no more. I'm no different from you. Is that so? Yeah. It's been 3 months since the unified government had declared the war to be over. My unit was dissolved amidst the rapid disassembly and reorganization of land forces. Many of my former comrades transferred to new units and had gone into space. Several had been discharged and returned to their normal lives, and some transferred to the police force. It was exceedingly rare for someone to be transferred to another terrestrial unit like me. Oh, I can see it. Take a look over there. She spoke remarkably loudly and looked towards the window behind me. I turned to look, lured by her voice. As soon as I turned around, a tiny island floating alone on the light blue ocean entered my view. It was a rather solemn-looking building standing on the island, concealed by a sheer rock face, like some sort of mistaken design. That's it? Yes, your new post. That would be a fucking amazing deployment. Research facility number 703. You know, I would consider going active for that. I've actually considered going active a lot recently, but I can't. I'm part of the police force now. As we nonchalantly passed through the splendid doors to the building, I halted and set down my bag beside me. Your duffel bag? I heard I was assigned to a research facility defense unit. Facility's defense unit. That was weird. That came from my right ear. Like, this game actually features surround sound? That's really cool. Yes, like I said, this is your new post, research facility number 703. She repeated those words I had heard only a moment ago. Yeah, bull fucking shit. No soldiers get that type of treatment. We're fucking lucky to have a barracks and a room that doesn't have 3 people in it. And the room, these are the size of my fucking room. With a closet. 3 wall lockers. Yeah, well, this is certainly something. I bet it isn't quite how you pictured a research facility. Normally, when I think research facility, I think drab concrete exterior with nothing but off-white linoleum corridors inside, as far as the eye can see. But that would have been presumptuous. As this place certainly didn't look anything like what I had imagined a research facility would be. Well, you'll understand sooner or later. For now, I'll take you to our commanding officer. Oh, Lavi. Miss Elika? What's wrong? You sound a bit frantic. That's because Mr. Claudius and Mr. Matsuna are having a scuffle in the salon. Oh? Oh? What's wrong? Sergeant Callius and Corporal Matsugana are both young. There are times when adolescent blood just boils. But many people got injured trying to intervene. It'll make for some good training. Any anyone who can stop a fight must be getting rusty. But there's more? It appears to be a duel for your ownership. Ownership? Furthermore, the winner will receive an exclusive ticket to force themselves upon. Who issued these tickets and where? So, should we go or leave them alone? Oh, she's gone already. How quick. One officer, Lavi, disappeared at the win before the Alicia girl could even finish talking. How troubling. How troubling. But Lavi is such a beauty that it really is inevitable. Say, don't you think so? I won't deny one officer has a reasonably good appearance, but... Oh? She tilted her head slightly. By the way, who might you be? I was assigned to the post starting today. To this post starting today. Ah, I heard. They said a cunning young man with dreadful eyes was coming. Damn. Setting my eyes aside, what shall I do now that I've lost my guide? What shall you do indeed? Actually, I have a question as well. May I? Sure. What is it? Just who are you? I would be a maid. Is there a noble living here or something? Impossible. There's no way there would be any nobles around now that people are immigrating to space. If there were, they would be stuffed in and placed in a museum. The girl who called herself a maid chuckled cheerfully. If speaking in terms of rarity, wouldn't a maid follow suit as well? In other words, you mean to have me mounted and stuffed? Let's move away from that subject. I couldn't help but feel this would-be maid was off in the head somewhere. And off in the head somehow. This is a government institution, even if only for a time. There is no way they would place a maid at such an essential complex. You can't just suddenly appear and deny my existence. Yeah, I just did. My head is starting to hurt. Even she looked at me with those troubled eyes. I was just baffled as she was. Maybe I should explain what I do here. No, it's fine. That would make my headache worse. Anyway, I would like to go see the person in charge here. Could you tell me the way? Ah, you mean Major Inaba? Inaba? What's with all these weird names? In that case, why don't I show you the way? Lavi probably will not return until she has beaten Mr. Callis and Mr. Atsunaga half to death anyway. Half to death, indeed. This sounds like a dangerous place. Lavi is the only dangerous one. There's no need to be on your guard. This is a peaceful place. A carefree smile rose to her face. The moment I witnessed her smile, dripping with kindness. You're amazing, Rio. What in the world was that? Was that sensation just now? For an instant, it felt like a current had just run through me. I was seeing stars. No, there was something else. I had surely caught a glimpse of something else in that instant. What in the world was it? It's nothing. Please don't worry about it. I said that as I wiped the sweat from my forehead. If you're feeling unwell, I could get you some medicine. It's really nothing. Please just lead the way. Huh? Understood. Then let us be off. Patty. Party of one, right this way. Started bowing behind the maid as she started walking. Earlier it seemed like I just remembered something important. There was no doubt it was an illusion, but why did I suddenly hallucinate? I shook my head. A building unsuited to be called a research facility, and a girl who called herself a maid. I was probably just a little confused after encountering such a strange situation. After opening the door and stepping in, a lone man appeared before me. The man was seated sloppily in his chair and was gazing at me with such an uninterested look. "Why are you with Elisa?" warned Officer Haruna. The man, Major Inaba, went straight to the point. "Regarding that, Lavi had suddenly had some urgent business to attend to." Well, urgent business usually is sudden. "Oh well. Oh, I see. Very quick-witted. Oh golly, it's not that quick." What was with this conversation? "And so, you brought him here, Elijah? Sorry for the trouble." "Not at all. This is much the simplest tasks. I will do anything that does not leave me at a loss. Or perhaps I should say it was a good excuse to skip out on work." I wasn't sure to think of her after hearing that. "Well then, it is troublesome, but it'll be a great time to get back to work." "Yeah. Please take care of her." Elisha smiled sweetly, bowed to the Major, and left the room. When I saw her bow instead of salute, it became clear she wasn't military personnel. Maybe she really was a maid. "What do you think of Elka?" "Elijah, whatever the fuck you want to call her. Pretty easy on the eyes, right?" His mouth loosened into a grin. "I suppose so." "I don't seem very interested." "You don't seem very interested." "Well, not very at all. Not very at all. Not even a little." "Well, it's not an unusual thing in the military, and these days even God won't say you can't love another man." "I didn't mean it that way. In reality, I had some interest in Elijah, but I wasn't captivated by her endowed figure. Something felt out of place about her. Not that I had the slightest idea where that feeling came from." "Try and pursue your interests when you can." Superior officer who peered into their subordinates' personal lives were the worst. "Now then." Major Inaba corrected his posture slightly and cleared his throat. Well, he just became intimidating. God, he's wearing his jacket all fucked up and it pisses me off. Better disrespect the fucking uniform, jackass. "I suppose I should say you did well to make it here, though. Although, it seems there has been some sudden inconvenience from our end. I appreciate your words, but aren't you a subordinate a little too undisciplined?" "I'm a superior officer who respects his subordinates' independence. Isn't it bad for the superiors not to take responsibility?" He shrugged his shoulders and showed a faint smile. The way of his actions and expressions gave off a sarcastic feel had not changed at all from the past. If I recall, you were a first lieutenant 7 years ago. I never thought you'd still be a major." "Although I'm out of the academy, I'm not even in my 30s yet. Making it to the rank of a major isn't bad at all." "No, not that." What?" "I thought you were more capable. Not only was there no point, but that was not something I should say to someone who was for the time being, my superior. I swallowed my words. You have not changed from how much. You've not changed much from how you were in the past. It's because I haven't gone through any hardships. There's nothing to age to me. He let out a rattling laugh. Oh, shit. His face looked like a little red, but it was unlikely he would drink it in the afternoon. I've already received your assignment documents, so you can rest for the remainder. On the day, you must be worn out from the long trip, switching straight from the plane to the helicopter. I still have not heard the details on my mission. The defense of the research facility. That is all. Understood. Okay then, take these. He rummaged through his desk drawer and took out a thin manila envelope and a single card. This envelope contains assorted documents and a data disk with a rough map of the building. Also, this is your ID. Thanks. Arigato. Finally, I have some valuable resources for counseling yourself on those lonely nights. Would you like to take them while you're at it? I'm quite alright. How boring. I took the envelope and ID and returned the guest ID I had received from Levy earlier. I'll meet you at 7:30, 0730, and explain the details of your assignment then. This all seems rather sketchy. I have not even received a luggage inspection since I entered the building. It seemed far too insecure any way you look at it. The fuck? Alright. It's not like everyone gets this type of treatment. And are you letting me through so easily? That should be obvious. Oh, fuck. Ryo Hanura, it's because you're special. Was it so obvious? I understood from his tone, didn't intend to say any more. I do have a question for you. Is that okay? Of course, it's not a problem. There was no way I could refuse to speak to a superior. Ryo. His demeanor flipped like a switch and his eyes stared straight at me. Do you still remember what happened 7 years ago? 7 years ago. The frustration of only being able to cry out. Sensation of a large heavy fist sinking into my face with a thick thud. A back trailing off into the distance, a tiny footstep pushing through the grass. I haven't forgotten. 7 years is far too short to forget everything. I returned his stare. No matter how sharp his glare, my heart would not sway. Why don't you pull out your gun? Though I'm sure it won't be enough to satisfy you even if you kill me at this point. Didn't you live to this day in order to stand before me and accomplish that? Huh? Did you put in a request for me thinking you'd be killed? You're certainly something. I bet I couldn't even lay a hand on you now, much less hit you. I'm the military's attack dog, the same as you. Any soldier would shoot if given the order. But on the other hand, we couldn't shoot without an order. That's how a trained soldier behaved. The major should have been aware of that. Forget what I asked. It's just a habit of a mind to run my mouth. About things. Fuck. Is it really a bad habit? It really is a bad habit. You said it. before I knew it, his eyes became as sluggish as before. Well then, please excuse me. Yeah? I saluted as I went to turn. I halted. Major. What is it? What in the world are they researching here? Oh, I forgot to mention something so important. Sorry about that. Kept his hands together and grinned. His sloppiness might have been the reason he was stuck at his current rank. Even I don't know in great detail. I probably wouldn't understand if they told me, so I'll keep it simple. She was a key figure in the development of the colony. I know she's running data analysis on the ones that are currently in service. Development of colony ships? Wait just a second. A figure in the development of the colony ships? He couldn't mean. Not surprising. You catch on fast, Rio. He grinned fiercely. This is where. This is where she lives. I don't know what that means. I really have no idea what that means. Well, I hate to cut it off here, but I've cut well into into what I wanted to do. Shit. There we go. Back. Shit. Return. Anyways, that's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content, and leave a comment down below on any future content you'd like to see. This is just the first episode of hopefully a little bit of a series. So far, I really do. The art is absolutely phenomenal. I will go ahead and comment that now. But like and subscribe for more content, and y'all have a safe night.